Yeah, if you want to take a look at, we got a couple
No,
things hanging out.
what's that box doing in it? What?
Oh, there's some things, man. I don't know. I gotta do a little
Somebody
bit
did Jim send you those?
a little bit of cleaning.
I can get with that closet, man. I can get with that closet. That's a pretty cool closet.
It's
There.
some
It's not really a
shiny
closet.
2 Thanksgivings ago.
What's that?
It's not really a closet.
That's some
Closet. I
Shiner
see.
Rock from 2 Thanksgivings ago. Yeah.
Man.
It's just the guest room closet. So there's just random assortments, just extra beer from the camping trip, pumpkin heads, printers, board games. Nothing specific.
No, I know how that is. That's how this closet right here. I mean, there's cards in there, but there's also anonymous electronics, collectibles, coats, just legal documents. Just I don't even know. I think there's actually a Mandalorian or Boba Fett and like Darth Vader like goblets with candy stuffed in them.
Damn. Yeah, you never know what's in these closets and apartments, man. Can't trust them.
Yep. So we got video game James over there whipping up some graphic design magic and the Pete Maravich Utah Jazz hat, which is a great entry for tonight, guys. So welcome in. We got brew going. It's beer and basketball night. It's actually a great night for beer and basketball night. Not only is it Thirsty Thursday, but it's the NBA draft tonight.
Thirsty Thursday?
Yeah, man.
Never heard of that, but okay.
Oh man.
Oh, okay. Let me get this. Okay, I get it. Oh, okay. That customer you had, he was upset you ruined his Thirsty Thursday after that. Forgot.
Yeah. Wow. That's a great story. I mean, man. Yeah. He said, so you have to understand my perspective as a strip club owner. He's like, I got sweaty strippers quitting. I got customers leaving. He's like, it's not good. It's unacceptable. Man.
Well, he's telling the truth. It's not good. I mean, he's trying to operate a place of business, and he can't have people sweating in there.
Here's what happened. It's just when you go back, it's like, I don't know if he was the guy on site, because I went back and I look at the notes, from the guy that was out there, and it specifically states things that were like wrong. Like something's wrong with the system. The fin is broken. They're like, at one point he said he had a flat screen covering a return vent in a room blocking the air. And he's like, dude, you got to take this down or like move it. So it says they're going to move it. And then the guy calls me, hey, I got sweaty strippers quitting their jobs. I got customers leaving. And mind you, this is at like 11 a.m. Okay, on a Thursday. And I just want to ask him, like, who's even in there right now? Who's at a strip club at 11
What do you mean? Those places, as soon as the hours start, they're in there. What do you mean?
I mean,
how do you know that?
You just drive by it and see it. Cars in the parking lot. I mean, I'm at work and I see it. I drive by and I'm like, oh, okay.
So that's an interesting place, man. I'm surprised. I'm really surprised they still get business with the OnlyFans stuff going on. I'm surprised that strip clubs.
OnlyFans, that's not real, man. That's just virtual. You got that's never that's a place that's never going to go away.
Oh, it won't. But I'm just surprised that those places stay staffed. Unless a lot of them will probably double featuring it. OnlyFans by day, stripper by night.
Only feature. One way or another.
Well, my celebratory brew for beer and basketball night, Mind Haze by Firestone Walker. It's probably considered a mid-range brew, a mediocre brew by most, but it's what I like, man. Those light mid IPAs. It has a real smooth wash down. I'm sure you've had it. Video.
Oh, I've had it a lot. Every time I see it, I try to get one or two when I do my mix.
I do. It's a nice smooth. I can say it is one of the smoothest wash for an IPA.
Yeah, it's not offensive at all, is what I'm saying. I mean, that's what you also want to look for. You don't, unless you have to like train your palate, you don't want something that's just going to like you make a face or your tongue like shrivels every time you drink it. You want you want it to be smooth. I mean, yeah, you want a little bit of kick to it, but you also want it to be smooth. I mean, I think that time has passed where people want those just double flowered
Yeah.
IPAs that just taste. I mean, they just taste like literally like flowers, because that's what it is. The hops and so. I think. I mean, I would think for the most part that time has passed. I mean, I remember that time where that's what everybody wanted. That's what everybody tried to get you to drink. Like, oh, you got, yeah. I mean, I think now it's just a time of something that's not offensive to your palate, not offensive to you, and you can have a couple before you're like, oh, I'm done or whatever, because either it's just too much, the taste is too bitter, or because those are heavy too. Oops, sorry, but those are heavy. They're heavy
what are
beers.
your guys' favorite beers right now? Because I mean, that changes. It's just an answer that's different for everybody every few years, I think. Like, what's in
It
the
does. That's
rotation?
definitely, definitely.
Starting with video, what are your give me 3 beers right now, and what's the best one, and then what are you closing the night out with, just bullpen on the couch?
Well, definitely. Well, since let's see, did this come out? I think it came out like last fall or summer. Not sure. It's seasonal, but it's starting to pop up a lot more. I was just showing Carrington. I have one here. It's this Dogfish Head, Hazy O.
Okay.
It's a hazy IPA, but it's not like one you would think. It's malted with oats and oat milk. So it's not like the typical tropical hazy IPA or what you would think. It's kind of, I would say it's like in the middle of having it's an IPA, it's hazy, but it's without all the fruit to it. It's more like going back into a
it's like a straight to the point
I don't want to say
IPA,
a
right?
Blue Moon, but what's another one? It's more, it's more that the beer that has it's the wheat. It's more of it's like a wheat beer. It's like mixed between a wheat, but it's still an IPA, strong enough to be an IPA. If that's
Okay.
as plain and clear as I can put
Nice.
it. That's what it is like to me, and that's what I like. It's one of its kind. When I first got it, I was like, wow. I was like, yeah. Like every time I seen it, I got it. Beyond that one, Sierra Nevada has. I'm sorry, no, it's New Belgium. Has a Juice Force. So in Carrington, I don't know if you guys seen it or if it's out there yet.
Juice Force.
It's good. You will never expect. It's 9.5 on the scale.
Damn.
Literally. Yeah, you don't want to start drinking those and just keep drinking them. Like, yeah, I've seen them today. I was like, no. I drank them for like a month straight because they're that good and you just don't know. And with one that's that heavy, they trick you. Like literally, because it comes after the first or the second one. But you don't want to keep drinking those. And I'm like, yeah, I had to back off of those. I'm like, yeah, I seen them today. I was like, no, I'm good. I'm gonna take a break. Yeah, 9.5. That's up there, especially for
I double take when I see 8. When I see 8, and then that decimal, I start looking around. Really,
this says 9.5 on it, and this is in the regular. Go to the grocery store. You can buy it. Like I said, I've been doing that for years. The Kroger, here's his fries out there. The mix and match, 20%, 4 plus 6 packs. You would never guess. Like I said, we're talking about almost 10 on this, on the percentage scale. And that one is good though. It really is. They did a very good job with it. That's probably the best New Belgium's made in years, I think.
Damn.
Belgium's not bad. They're good.
No, they're not. They're Sierra Nevada and New Belgium are the pinnacle of mid-range beers. Put it like that. Right. They're the pinnacle of mid-range.
They're like your mainstream strong IPAs as far as what people know as IPAs. Yeah.
Yeah. Beyond that, those are my 2. I think you said 3, but I think those are my like I said, I like Mine Haze. I like I like the blue one more than the purple one. I think purple's double.
Oh, okay. I've never had that one. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a purple one. And maybe it's just not out there. It should be, but I take that back. If it was here, I technically would buy it when I went to Florida.
Just a nice, I like the name and the
I bought 2 IPAs. I would have to go get them. They were made down there in Florida, and they were pretty good. One was a wheat
Nice.
beer, and one was an IPA. They were both good. I forgot the name of it's like Floridan, or however you would say that name. I guess a person that lives in Florida, Floridan, yeah. It was like that, something like that. It's actually pretty good. I can't wait to go back so I can, get a lot more, because there was a lot of just Florida themed, beers down there.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that clearly, if you're not from that area, you're like, oh, because I mean, there was tons of that regular stuff, but when I seen all that theme stuff, I was like, oh, I'm not going to buy that regular stuff. I'll do that when I get home.
Yeah, exactly.
But I also like to stand in the aisle. When I'm in the aisle and I see new stuff, I'll go. I'll type it in Google and then I'll go to Beer Advocate, because they're pretty good. They're pretty dead on. If it's like an 85 and higher, if it's like in 90 and up period, you have to get it, because literally that's what it means, because they're pretty good. They're dead on their reviews. So that's about it for now. Like right now, like if I see it, I gotta have it. Like, yeah, those pretty much.
Okay. Damn, sounds like a good roundup. What about you? What are you sipping on?
I mean, I've still liked some of the main ones for a long time, but I did have something the other day, and I think I was out with Dan watching one of the NBA Finals games. It's called Tower Station IPA. It's a local here in Arizona.
Had it. It's good.
Yeah, very, very tasty. I'm big on the local brews here because I don't know. I mean, it could be biased. I just feel like, I mean, Arizona has a lot of good brews out here. Like there's just with Chandler Brewing Company. And then of course I would honestly, as basic as it is, drinking it tonight, I would put Mind Haze in my top 3. Just because it has a good taste, a great can, great name. I feel like it all just it's a solid beer. And then for those people that aren't familiar with the Arizona beers, there's the Santan Brewing Company, and they make a beer called Galactic Moon Juice. Very, very tasty. And then they have a grapefruit version of it, Grapefruit Galactic Moon Juice, which is a little bit weaker. I think Galactic Grapefruit usually runs like 6, 7, and the regular Galactic runs like 7.1. But very, very good IPAs. I mean, that's the strong citrusy. They're really like West Coast kind of IPAs. All of them are real citrusy, but they have strong earthy hops to them. So it's like
that sounds like Elvis juice.
Wash down, yeah. And that's kind of most of my favorite type of beers. As far as like your basic traditional or seasonals, I really like that Cold Snap by Samuel Adams. I think it's called
Cold Snap by Samuel Adams.
Let's see if
that's in video game James Fridge. Let's go ahead and swing.
No, it's not.
Let's take a peek in there.
Let's see, drink around the wintertime, man, when it gets nice and cozy. Yeah. I also like that Wow Joy Bus. It's like an orange.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The Joy Bus is very smooth. I'm a big Joy Bus fan for sure.
And I first had that at the remodeled downtown stadium when we went to that Arena Football League game.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Rattlers, whoever they played.
Yeah, Rattlers playoff game last year. We went out there. Grim Reaper met us out there. We just started knocking back cold ones, running up a tab. So what happens though? They get you at those venues, man. You pay $9 for 16 ounces.
Now you know when to stop, man. 1 or 2, that's it. Stop.
Oh, that's me today.
Trust me, I know too. You want to keep going, but that doesn't mean you're supposed to keep going. I'm sorry.
Anytime I'm at sporting events, I usually overdo it. But like when I'm at home, I never do. It's just when I go to stadiums, like I just.
Wow, so that's really because I'm the opposite way. I'm the opposite way.
Oh, really?
One, let me think. In the last couple outings I went, which would be wrestling, I think I was like 1. I don't even think I went to 2. I was like, no, not happening.
I'm a 2.
I just can't compare the value, man. Like to me, I've been doing this for so long, and I know when and where to go get stuff. I just can't just be like, oh yeah, I get it. You're out and you're in the moment. I get that, but I just can't do it because I've been doing that price stuff so long. I can't do it. And I know what I can get, and I have a whole refrigerator full for what I'm about to do over here, wherever I'm out. I just like, I would just go when I get home or do it before I get there. I get it
I
because you have
usually
fun
will only
inside.
drink. I'll usually drink like 2 beers at the stadium because I don't want to. I don't really enjoy commercial beer, but where they really get me is before the game. I'm planning out. There's a spot we go to a lot. We talk about the Whining
Oh
Pig.
yeah.
I mean, man, you're talking about a chalkboard of over 100 beers.
Hmm.
Probably 30% of them are just not sold in the grocery store around you.
Oh no.
And so I'm, $6-7 a glass. I mean, it's friendly pricing. That's one thing the Pig has stayed good about during the pandemic is the pricing didn't jump, and that's where they get me. I'll knock back 4 or 5, beers I've never had there. Each time I go, there's more I've never had.
Oh,
You get to the stadium just smacked.
and while we're on the topic of new beers, one of my favorite beers that I've ever had, and I don't even know the name of it, was that banana beer at the Edelweiss Beer Garden. The German,
Oh, I know what you're gonna say because it's
German
it's
restaurant.
one of my 3 favorites.
Yeah,
It's on
if you're
there.
saying banana, it's definitely more than likely German.
So
It's
I'll tell you what it is. It's on my beer list because I was gonna mention it. So my favorite 3 beers right now, number 1 is that, and it's probably been that for a few years. It's
What is it?
Weihenstephaner Hefeweizen beer.
Oh yeah,
Weihenstephaner Hefeweizen beer,
anything
German
that starts with an H,
banana peel
definitely.
finish.
Yep.
so good. Like you got to
Yep.
fly out here just to drink it.
What?
It's
Oh, wow.
great. He could buy it. We could ship it. I think he could order it from Total Wine. If he gets on TotalWine.com, they would probably
Well,
Wow.
they
depending on
ship out of
people
state.
to send things. I mean,
It's
you guys going to send things or not?
Can you buy it at Edelweiss?
Uh,
Non-solo drink?
I don't know.
Yeah, just plan a trip, come on out, because man,
No. He just said he's going to send it. So you're going to send it. I'll come, but you're going to send that. It's that simple.
Oh, yeah, I'll have to get that
all
to
right,
him.
well, we'll
That's
send
great.
it,
And
drink
then
it on the plane, and then come on out and drink more.
I would say number 2 on my list after that, and I haven't even drank it actually since the first time I ever had it because they ran out the same day I tried it. Is a beer called Optimus Lime they make here at Simple Machine Brewing,
My
probably
God.
about 20 minutes east of me. Man,
Is
it
that
is
supposed to be
the
like a
king of
super
sours.
summer, like Mexican type beer?
No, it's a sour. It's a super sour. I mean, we're
No,
talking
Sours get my jaws,
it
man.
just it's just a burst of lime in your mouth that just finishes so crisp and cold. And then I got hooked quick. The third beer for me right now out of those would probably be from Stone. That I might have a box in here. The Buena Visa. Here, let me get the
Oh, that's a
it's not
nice salt lager,
it's
right?
yeah,
Stone,
yeah.
I've had a few times, but every time I see Stone, I just like can't buy. I seen that today. I just can't. Is
That
that
one,
good? Is that like a
It's a
cerveza or however you say it? Is that what that
Buena
is?
Vista Salt and Lime Lager.
Okay.
I love it because it's it's a good summer beer, and sometimes I just don't want a hefe. I don't want a sour.
yeah,
I
you
do
can,
like IPAs, but sometimes I don't even want an IPA, so I just jump to the lager waters where you kind of just reset
That's
as a
funny you
palate.
said that because that's what I did. I sat in that aisle for 10 minutes today because I was like, I got to back off of the heavy stuff because I like that stuff will get you eventually, and it's heavy. And
Mm-hmm.
I sat there and I was like, man, I seen one. It was like it said like Mexican lime or something. I can't remember what brand it was. It was like 5 something. I looked it up. It was like an 83, and I was like, nah, I'm not going to get it. But I mean, it could have been good. Definitely good on a hot day. A lot of hot days just cracking everywhere over the United States. So, I mean, they're here. So I know it's hot everywhere. I just came from where it was super hot. And I'm like, it's even worse here almost. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, I can see why those beers just go well with the weather. You just not going to be pouring one of those 9.5s and walking outside talking about, hey, what's going on, everybody?
Definitely
like, no.
not. Not even in air conditioning.
man,
Not even in
drinking
air
some
conditioning.
mud water, walking around.
Man, yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, there's some nice, very good. I will say that the Mexican beers are very they're super light, very light. They're probably the lightest of beers. They're in the 3 to 4, like high 3s to 4s to maybe 5 sometimes.
No, this one was a 5. It was like a mid 5s.
But they're good. They're good beers. They're very they love their lime. They love their limes.
Mm-hmm.
And they love their salt. That's like it's Probably just spin off the margarita right there, where the margarita idea came from. But
Yeah. Oh yeah.
so where are some of the best places as far as like brew spots or like breweries in Indiana? Because it's been a long, long time since I've like really got to go to really any. And next time I'm out there, like I want to try some of these, at least whatever the best spots are in the area.
I'm not going to try to downplay it because, like I said, I mean, I'm from here. I mean, I was always been from here, but
There's some good beer.
yeah, it's.
I'm not going to say
I've had most of them, and a lot of them are in stores, so it's not like they're just like exclusive. I mean, yeah, I guess demographic ways, obviously, but they're nothing that you haven't seen or tasted, and they're all the same, and they're pretty. They're all replicas. They're all robotic. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, they follow the same makeup of what's popular, but not as good. I mean, that's as simple as I can put it. I'm not going to even name names. I'm not going to name names because I could. I got a handful of them in my head right now. I'm not but that's just the truth. That's why anybody who's been doing this long, definitely like people like us, the difference, and you're not going to spend your money on it. Like, oh, well, that's why literally I can stand in an aisle, like somebody walk in the aisle and grab something like that. It literally, even with me.
Oh, but I mean,
unless I know it's something that I just named when Mason asked me, I'm getting it because that's what I'm getting. Like instantly, it has to be that one or two. I will stand in that aisle. Like I stood in the aisle tonight, I think probably between 10 and 15 minutes, literally, because I was not going to buy the stuff that I seen. And it was like, probably 50 choices, but I'm just not going to.
What's horrible about what I mean, and it happens in every state. I'm not saying it's just Indiana too, but you're talking about guys that get in their truck, drive to Kroger, walk straight in the beer aisle, grab Budweiser, and go to the checkout. And that's what they've done for 40 years. Like there's people.
Somebody's got to keep that.
I can appreciate that. That's the difference. I can appreciate that. That's that type of beer though. We're talking about when we get to all these clones. We're talking about clones now. We're not talking about domestic. We're talking about the craft beer clones. And then all these new ones you see that just pop up with cool artwork and stuff. I'm like, all right, well, that's cool. Let me get my phone out here. That's what I do. Oh, like I seen a new Three Floyds today. It was some not of the ordinary Pilsner. I'm like, okay. I looked it up. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. I mean, I might try it another time if I'm out, but I'm not about to put it in my cart because it's got some cool artwork. I like Three Floyds, don't get me wrong. It doesn't have the glamour that it did at one point in time, though, is what I'm saying. At one point in time, if it said Three Floyds on it, it was untouchable, literally years ago. Untouchable. But now it's just like, all right, they got a cool artist. Hey man, put some of that good artwork on it, put some statues, 6 hands, feet, whatever, or put some snakes or some barbarians on there. Man. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. There's some good stuff. And actually, when you mentioned Gumball Head earlier, and I was like, nah, I mean, I don't have that. And when I went to Chicago, when we went to AEW back in August, I had stopped at this Kroger that I never shop out of. And I'm like, looking, I'm like, oh man. Mainly because the area was in, so it didn't have like that big craft area. It was like a lower area. So I'm like, oh man, like I got to get something now so I can take it with me because I'm not going to be buying it in the event. And I'm looking and I'm like, and I look and I'm like, oh, well, Gumball Head. I'm like, all right, fine. Can't go wrong with that. Not something I would pick in another store of higher, quality and selection choices, but I seen it, grabbed it without a doubt.
I mean, you could say
I like Gumball Head.
Yeah, you could say because
I liked it a whole lot. Do you know how much I liked it? I was going to like liquor stores. Me and Brandon, we were going and like trying to buy all the cases. Like I still got pictures in my Google pictures.
Relax. You don't need to be on a manhunt.
No, manhunt. I was calling stores, calling them.
Oh man,
that's how bad it was. That's what I'm saying.
Those birds that run in Target as soon as the doors open.
Well, basically, Basically, I'm not running at Target. I'm like, yeah, you're just gonna share or else. But no, I was calling those stores, asking if they had them, and like they had cases because cases 4. So that's when they had everything was still like before the bottle can transition. So a lot of stuff was still in bottles because it went from cans to bottles. Now we're back to cans. The bottles. That's when they got into the cases, whatever. So I was calling lots of stores, asking if they had any cases, which was 4. I'm like, hey, can you save a case? Don't break it open. I want the case. Like I said, I still got pictures. Real funny. This is like 2016. That's why I'm telling you, when you mentioned earlier about Gumball Head, I'm like, dude, that's the past for me.
Yeah,
I was searching for that 6 years ago.
First time I had it was probably around that time. I had made a trip out to Indiana. Birdzilla had some. He was like, here you go.
He did, man. Yeah, Birdzilla liked his Gumball Head. It was a good beer. I mean, if it was sold here like regularly, like I would still buy it. I never obviously overdid it.
It's the differentiate. It's the different factor for us. I mean, because we don't drink any of that beer normally. Like, I steadily drink AZ beer more than anything. Like, the only time I drink a domestic is when I drink like Modelo when we're out camping or something.
Right. And see, and I can get with that, even though I haven't had anything domestic. It's funny you said that because like I said, I need to kind of cut it back and not drink some heavy stuff. And I was thinking about getting some Corona this weekend. It's hot anyway. I'm like, you know what? I need to stop drinking this super heavy 6, 7, 8 ABV stuff. Because that stuff will destroy you eventually.
Here's an interesting one. Not too heavy. This is a Kolsch from Goose Island.
Kolsch.
They're more known for their IPAs, but this Goose is on the Aqua can.
Oh man, they're not
really really a crisp, like aromatic.
That's funny. I've never seen that blue can. It's funny you pulled that Goose Island out.
It's
I literally looked at the yellow and black Goose Island box today, and I looked down at it.
Oh, that black one is.
I looked at it and I was like, okay, cool, Goose Island. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll play it light tonight, or this, for the next couple of days. And I looked at the number, and it said 4.7. I was like, man, just can't do it. I know I'm dialing back my number, but I'm like over half from where I was at.
5s, damn, man.
Yeah, I think this is a 5.
But at least got to hang out in the 5s. Like, I'm not a 4 kind of guy. I'm a 4 to 7.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And the Goose Island IPA.
This is a 6%.
Really?
I didn't even know. I was out there camping. I think I was so drunk by the time we opened these, I didn't even know it. But that's a 6, yeah.
Oh, well, anything starts tasting good after you had about 4 or 5 or something.
Oh, not that green apple Jack and Rolling Rock or whatever.
You just said green apple. That just turned me off just then when you said
it was the worst drinking experience of my life.
Oh, wait, I wasn't there. That's the time you fell down the hill. Is that what happened?
Yeah, man.
We fell down the hill. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go and get me something, fill my cup up off of that.
Basically,
go ahead and just get these dogs.
You fell down the hills, y'all. You hear that?
Man, fell off the boat.
Oh man.
So Biden. Are you getting that beer?
Man, look at all those figs. Wonder what his address is. Man.
Yeah. Just reverse search engine IP address, just hack. Fishing angling in.
Yep, crawl through the chimney.
Like not even kidding. Like each one of those shelves is like $1,000 or more. Well over.
Yeah.
Some of those figs are like $300 to $500 a pop.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what? So funny story. You know how I have that. I have the autographed graded card of the guy who designed Darth Vader, and it's like,
yep,
yeah.
So
hanging out, or
there's one more that exists that's graded, and I'm gonna try to buy it so I can just hold the monopoly on them. And then when Disney Plus drops the Vader spinoff series, they're just gonna start flying like hotcakes. Just signature, the designer of Darth Vader. Just ramp the price up and screw some kid over. Mommy, Darth Vader. Get the credit card.
Damn, get the credit card. Yeah,
I
mean, you should.
Actually, what happens is, I don't even know if he says mommy, mommy. He just
does
I don't know.
it.
Waits till they go to work or does it when they're sleeping. Somehow.
Oh yeah, you know how many articles
card
we see?
just slides into somebody's PayPal or something, and that's it.
It does. They know how the tablets work. I see it all the time. 5-year-old orders $20,000 worth of hot dogs.
It's happened too many times. I remember seeing the FIFA one. That was ridiculous. That was probably the worst one I've seen. When that kid has spent all that money on, like, I don't know what, 30K on FIFA on microtransactions. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what type of soccer are you playing on that game that you need that much money? Like, he must like be in like some type of like tournaments or something, like, some type of setup, man-made or people-made tournaments or something. Because I don't even think there's not. Like, what could you be buying that was that much money? It was like 20K or something like that. Just crazy.
Or he thinks it didn't go through, and you just it didn't process.
Oh, that's the worst. But see, they make you think that though, and that's BS. They make you think it didn't go through.
Oh, to press it twice.
Yep. Or a lot more times.
Amazon card will do it to you. I've been on my Amazon card at work and like forgot, and I'll like throw something in there, and then I get home, and then like it'll be like quantity 2 or like 3 because I've searched it so much, and then I just go to process, and it's like $286. Right, like, whoa, not how.
I got some stuff in my cart right now.
Yeah, I tell you what I really want to try, like, beers wise, that I just haven't dabbled in, and pretty sure most of us haven't on the pod. But Washington beers, Colorado beers, and then interestingly enough, Maine beers. I've been like doing some reading on those 3, and I'm like, man, I don't get a lot of that out here in the desert. You get some.
Maine sounds like it would be like Samuel Adams though. Because it's on the East Coast, you think?
That's kind of their style, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have to see.
Now Colorado and Washington, I have no idea. No idea.
IPAs.
But I was surprised when I was in Florida and they were making like those. I mean, to me, wheat beers and IPAs are, but they're not like super, super hot beers. Because a lot of those people down there, they're drinking outside because they're allowed to. You would think you see more like pilsners, shandies, stuff like that, like super light. And I was surprised. I'm like, but it makes sense. But like that company, I bought that company. It was there in Florida. I don't know where the company is, but it was in a what's their store? Publix.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yep.
And it was cold. That's why I was like, yeah, got to get back down here for good. Because when I seen the Publix, I'm like, this is a grocery store with cold alcohol. Oh, yeah.
What's cool about it, that's one thing I do miss about Florida. Publix kills like all grocery chains. It's like,
I mean, I guess the closest comparison is Kroger. That's what I was told.
Yeah, it's
but
like
when I went in, I'm looking around like, Now, one thing Kroger might have over Publix, because I didn't see any of those tags, any of the aisles, is the their Kroger, their specific percentage off. Buy one or buy 10, they're $1. They're, or buy the 4 and you get them for a certain amount of money. I didn't see any of those tags. So that's one thing Kroger might have over Publix, but as an overall grocery store, I might be leaning toward Publix.
I'll tell you what I loved about Publix is they have the Boar's Head sandwiches made there fresh. Like, like you can go buy it regularly at Kroger or Fry's or whatever, and they shave it and you get it in the bag. But they have a kitchen where they make Boar's Head subs, like full sandwich.
Oh, they're actually making sandwiches there. They don't do that in Kroger. No,
they have a full scale kitchen. They have a wine bar usually. Fry's has wine bars.
I didn't go in the back. I went straight in. And I was told where it was, so I kind of went past the cash registers, and I passed some aisles as I went toward the section, but I didn't get to really experience it. I kind of wish I would have now to just walk around the store, but like we were in a hurry trying to get back to trying to get from Sarasota to Clearwater, so I didn't have much time. But yeah, it's really nice. It was real nice. Well, at least the one we were in, it was really nice.
Tell you what, this Food City location next to me must be feeling the pressure from Publix and other brands because they recently installed a Starbucks and They have a
Yep.
home style, just Mexican kitchen. They're just
Whoa.
whipping up carnitas,
Yep.
huevos, rancheros. It's like a fresh restaurant.
If it's got a Starbucks in it, it's
It's-
definitely feeling some fire because
They-
that's what
they don't
most high tech Kroger's got. If it's a
Oh.
new Kroger off the map, built straight up, it's got a Starbucks instantly. Period.
We've never been to a food city that had Starbucks, Carrington or I
Oh,
ever.
no,
Nobody
in
really
there.
has. They
It's
usually
in there.
suck. So
Food City was like the Dollar Tree of like grocery stores, pretty much. I don't even think they have them in Indiana, but it's called Food City. It's just a West Coast like kind
it's
of
like super low level.
Dollar General, Dollar Tree.
Oh well, I can. That's
Grocery.
that would be our like fuck man. If it's a Dollar General, yeah, we have Dollar Generals and Dollar Trees and Family
Well,
Dollars.
what he means is like
It's
it's
Save a
like,
lot.
The grocery
Save a
store.
lot.
Probably
That's our
it's
Save a
like
lot.
this.
Yeah.
It's the size of Kroger, Fry's, Publix. It's just
Well,
the
it's a Save a
value
Lot.
was never there. The
No,
value was
that's all right.
exactly.
Or Preston Safeway. That's what it
Sure.
would be.
Yeah, it wasn't on the same level as those other brands typically. So this one location, they just they must have felt
But
some
no,
heat.
but those
So.
stores usually get a lot of business though.
They do.
Save a Lot, Preston Safeways. It's not like Food City.
We have
Those usually should get a lot of business though.
what's it called? Winco. We have Winco out here. It's like a discount Costco, I would say. So like the dumbed down version of Costco. You don't need a membership. You still buy in bulk, but it's good deals, but it's not as high quality as
Really?
Costco. Really nice store. We shop there a lot.
But you see what they did though with the marketing though, they just got rid of the membership, but everything's still bulk. But the stuff is off brand probably.
They still
a
have
lot of it.
stuff. Yeah, they still have main stuff. They have what they'll do is they'll have contracts with smaller, long time brands. Like there's tons of those food brands from the 1900s, and the bigger ones all dominate. Walmart, Target, whatever. But the smaller ones that lost those, they kind of cater to those people. Like Aldi's same thing. They have a lot of good brands, older brands, but they're not those like main top tier ones. So and even Aldi out here, they sell some decent beer now. I've started seeing decent beer at Aldi's.
And Aldi's, ours, I see wine. I don't really see beer. We have wine in there. And it's pretty, I mean, it's not like super high either. I mean, it just maybe not the higher brands. But I've seen wine in there, a lot of different brands in Aldi, but I don't think I've seen beer in there in ours.
Man, I haven't been in an Aldi since I lived in Indiana. Been a long time.
They're starting to pop up out here. We got one out here on Bell now. There's one further out west by you guys on Lake Pleasant if you just go up north on Lake Pleasant Parkway. It's kind of by like between Richie and Mike's. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just a little north.
Richie and Mike's, are those street names or are those just like some guys you guys know?
Must be Crossroads, yeah.
Yeah, just yeah.
He said, "Oh, just yeah."
I mean, you know what?
Happy
Patty? Yeah.
All right,
Oh,
cool. Man.
Oh yeah, the
Like I
Krabby
just
Patty.
gave you a thumbnail with my face I just made on Richie and Mike. So
Yeah, I'll make sure I outline it, zoom in, expand it.
Damn, I remember when we used to play 2K a lot in 2018 and like around that time, maybe early 2019. Nick had to be tired of hearing that. All right, well, going to Richie's. I'll be back soon. I mean, it was like every 2 days, just man. All right, gotta go hang with Richie.
I thought that name sounded familiar. Yeah, Richie.
Now you know what I'm talking about.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I said. I just say, are those street names or those? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, be on the losing
Oh,
streak and be like,
shit,
oh
man.
man, I gotta meet Richie up real quick.
Man, just fresh off a 29-point loss in the rec center to just fucking
boys are
who
going to
knows who.
Like, why?
People start talking to me. I'm like, oh man, here we go. I'm like, yeah, just not in the market tonight to get into whatever you're trying to get into.
You know what's the worst is when like somebody's super like it's like you just get somewhere and there's somebody like super drunk and they're just like, you seem like a good guy, man. You're all right. I'm like, nah, let me get the check. I'll just get the check for this water and fucking
You
napkin.
seem like a
Let
good
me leave a
guy.
tip and head out. I'm like, yeah. If I haven't even met you and that's what you're saying, then yeah.
Yeah, No, that's
Hey man, you seem like a good guy.
And like you can see people like behind that person talking to you, like all looking over, like don't respond to him. Like, man, we just escaped him and shit. Like that's the look you get. Like, yeah, that's just.
Well, that's the thing, man. People when they're out and they've been drinking good, they're looking, excuse me, for people to talk to.
That's the worst part.
And if you're new meat coming in, trying to get your stuff on,
yeah,
trying to eat, trying to drink, they
man.
got you.
Just oh,
They
hey
let
man,
you. They
welcome
got
in.
you.
Who's this guy? Be like, what? Who are you? Like you're just a guy at the bar. No need to greet me walking in. Like man, they
Fuck,
do.
yeah, it's the worst.
They got you, man. You seem like a good guy. That's a good quote.
That's a
I'll be sending
terrible
that quote
intro,
out a
though, man.
lot. So get ready for that one. That's a good
Oh,
one.
fuck.
Yep.
Just taken from that real life Sims experience, man. Just somebody downloaded it.
Oh
You
man, they
walk
don't
on
talk
up.
in the Sims, man. They don't even talk in the Sims. They just make like
Well,
weird
yeah.
noises.
What's that game where what's that game, that virtual reality game people play on PC? You guys got to know it.
Oh, I hope not.
You've
I hope
heard
no
of
one.
it. Where like you just walk up. You basically it's just a game, but you live real life.
It's IRL in real life.
That might be it.
But I thought in real life was just like you walking around with. I said, I don't know. I have no idea. I see that all the time. IRL. I'm like, isn't that in real life? I'm like, in real life would not be on anything because you're in real life. So you wouldn't be doing anything like that way people can see. So I'm
Yeah,
confused.
it's
I have
some
no
game,
idea, but
man.
that's what it
I can't
sounds like, I
remember.
would think.
Yeah, man. Just internet lingo, man. You know those tablet kids just born into the internet. Man.
So let me ask you guys this, just to turn the wheel a minute. What we'll start go back to video for this one, and then to you, Scam. What are your two? We'll just look at the two. What are your two biggest what ifs of NBA history? And not even so much around our favorite teams, almost really just away from that. Like, what are those two questions that if you just had to ask, what would you say?
Well, that's funny because that's one of the did I
Oh, I
send you
know.
guys
Yeah, no,
that? Okay, are we going off
Carrington
that
sent it
one?
to
Are
me.
we going to go off
Yeah,
those
yeah.
Yeah.
collections?
Yeah, just some of
Oh
them that
man, I can't remember. Let me. I mean, I know what most of them were, but there were some interesting ones on there too. So, and I remember what you said about it too. Let me go back. I'm try to look at our
I mean,
I'd have
conversation.
to I'd have to look at mine too. But
yeah,
go ahead,
it's
Scam. Do you know
I
honestly
can just go
yours or
back to
what?
the picture. Okay, there it is. Okay, which one would you rather see happen? And there was four, but there's there's other ones.
that is a great what if one.
Okay, if Mike never retired, Kobe and Shaq never split up, D Rose got injured and faced off in the finals, Kobe and LeBron.
Damn,
That,
those are
that
four
one
good
just,
questions.
Yeah,
I don't know. That Kobe and LeBron one is just like,
it's
I
just for the
mean, to
people.
me,
Like, people want to
I
see.
think it is. It would be more for the glamour. I mean, it would have had it would have probably had some of the highest ratings in finals ever, I would think. But as
Oh
far
yeah,
as what if, to me, what if is if Jordan never retired, but not because of that, to me would be what would have happened if they would have met the Rockets in the finals. From my knowledge, from me speaking to Rourke, he said the Rockets kind of had their numbers in the seasons the year before Mike left. We could probably just have to bring it up, but that's probably my number one if in the NBA is if what happens. That way we can know if Jordan does he get 8 or 9? I mean, I count 9 because of the lockout season with 50-some games. I assume they would have beat the Spurs. Oh.
Yep.
So Mason's phone's dying.
It's cool, man. I'm just looking at my what if list.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry about me, man. Keep talking.
That's what
We're
I
good.
consider. If he would have got his 8 or 9 straight, I mean 9 to tail end. Obviously, if they would have all stayed there, but facing those Rockets guys, That's my what if, because I mean it really is, because I mean, as much as I didn't like the Rockets just because of, excuse me, Akeem was that good, and obviously I love that Knicks team of that era, so I was pretty upset when they lost. But I just want to know if they would, how that series would have turned out. Either team, either Rockets team, because I mean, with Clyde, without Clyde, they were going to the finals regardless. The Bulls were probably going to the finals regardless. So you would have had 2 years in a row of Bulls and Rockets, which would have been cool, because it would have been like, okay, whichever team won the first time, now we got to repeat 2 years in a row. The Rockets were pretty good. I mean, as much as I just didn't like them, I always give people their due. The Rockets were that good, and I just don't know how matchup wise how it would have turned out.
Yeah, that's scary, man. For Luke,
it is. It really is for the Bulls. As much as you want to say, yeah. I mean, I've heard people say, yeah, the Bulls would, the Bulls, those were easy. That was the Bulls. But then again, people that like to break
You
stuff
never
down.
know.
Like, I don't know. How are you stopping Olajuwon? Because Cartwright wasn't stopping him. Well, he wasn't even there. I mean, no, there's nobody else. Who was Cartwright's backup? I mean, I can't even remember.
Bill Winnington.
No, he wasn't even there. That's
gone.
what I'm trying to. Winnington. I don't think Winnington came until the three-peat. Till like, was he Kukoc was there?
Winnington was on the '80s Bulls, but I think he left and came back.
Oh, was he? Okay.
He was on
he wasn't prominent until when Jordan came back, is what I'm saying. So he was part of that rotation of when you had Winnington and Will Perdue, because Will Perdue was a starter. Winnington was the backup.
That's who. I think Purdue was there, so it was Purdue and Cartwright until Longley.
Purdue and Carr. Okay, Purdue.
Longley and Parrish
so Purdue was the starter. Bill Winnington was the backup in that newer team. So like that's what I'm saying. Like, dude, people are just basically looking at Akeem just run up points and just take everything. I mean, that's literally what the front court would have been doing. Literally looking at Akeem score all the points. I mean, that's why I'm like, okay, it's scary. Okay, that's cool. You got Mike and Pippen were going to do their things. Mario Elliott wasn't about to stop nobody. I mean, he might have played some pretty good defense, but you got Vernon Maxwell.
Yeah, they had Ori, they had Cassell. I mean, they were deep.
Ori wasn't doing anything when Pippen's on the court. So I mean, that's canceled. But Jordan, who was in the backfield, I don't know if BJ, who played on those teams when Jordan wasn't there, Scotty, Kukoc. It would have been a whole different demographic depending if Jordan was still there. I say anything. Well, Otis Thorpe, I forgot Otis Thorpe. Well, when you get Drexler the second year, that whole dynamic of matchups changes. But the first year when they won, you still got the older Bulls team playing the first set of Rockets. The second time when the Rockets won, you would have had a newer type of Bulls team. So you probably had B.J. Armstrong and Paxson and all of them in the back court. But then you got Jordan. So that would have been Vernon Maxwell and Sam Cassell and
Kenny Smith.
They wouldn't have been doing nothing. I can't say that. They wouldn't have been doing nothing. I mean, because the whole dynamic has changed once you get Jordan back into the equation. Now, when you add Drexler in the second year, that's different. That would have been the match. That would have been the premier matchup, even though Drexler was older. It's not like Jordan going up against Drexler from years before against Portland. That's totally different. This is an older Drexler. So Jordan was really getting into his heyday at that time. So Drexler would have been having a hard time keeping up with Jordan. But, like, still, the dynamic of just Olajuwon and Otis Thorpe in the front court, you add in Robert Horry. I don't know. It's almost like even Steven on to me. I just don't know. And it's one of the biggest what ifs. I mean, it's hard to be long about that, but it's the biggest what if to me in NBA. I mean, ever to me.
It's definitely, I mean, I think most people would say that just because of how good Jordan was, and then just seeing him leave in the middle of his prime for 2 years when they basically swept the whole decade other than that. And then when the team broke up, yeah, it's hard to say because it could have been 9 straight rings or it could have been win 4, lose that 5th one, win 3, win 4 more, whatever. And then they end up with 8 out of 9 or what have you. But
that's a good one. And by you saying that win 4, because I could see them losing that one to Drexler, with Drexler going into Houston because they powered them up. I can see that. That's pretty interesting. So I mean, it's pretty even to say. You give the Bulls one, you give the Rockets one. So when I think about it, hey, I mean that kind of makes sense too as well. I'm like, oh, they would have been 1-1. Because I never really thought about that. I didn't put it that way in my mind. I'm like,
that was the second one was when they just destroyed Shaq and Penny, right?
Everybody. Oh, it wasn't even. Oh, yeah.
That would have been the year that they probably the best chance for them to win.
And you look at that whole season. That's the year they destroyed Shaq and Penny, the team that just beat Chicago. Mm-hmm. Well, they beat Chicago in the semifinals, not the finals.
Yeah.
But, So, on to you guys.
Oh,
what's your what if? What are you thinking on that one? Well, I would say you 1 or 2, but whatever you're.
I mean, for me, one of the ones just because we've already touched on the Jordan one, and it wasn't on that graphic, and to me, it's like 2 of my favorite players is Yao and McGrady. I mean, during that decade, every time the Rockets made it to the second or third round of the playoffs, they didn't have one of those 2 players in because of injury. So it was one of them coming off an injury, trying to carry role players. And they got as far as the West Finals with like super old Mutombo and Yao out and like Chuck Hayes and Ron Artest and Rafer Alston and all those guys. Like that team, they were just 2 of my favorite players. Yao and McGrady were so talented. It was just a shame to see like their whole careers just washed by injury. So
definitely,
I think that to me is big. And then of course, Derrick Rose, that one is up there, but to me, like his cast wasn't as good around him to really do anything.
Not at all.
You're thinking about peak Kobe, the Celtics, LeBron, and the Heat at that time, like just not really going to happen. So that's why I go with Yao and McGrady because that was basically after Shaq and Kobe and the Pistons, and then before like Celtics and Kobe again. So they could have won some of those.
That was that weird time in basketball.
Yeah, like
that was like that breakout. Anybody could have like hopped in there, and because was that during the time that basically Phoenix could have won?
Yep, Phoenix could have won.
The Phoenix was like they just scored so many points on fast break offensive points that they just basically put themselves out of games because they just couldn't keep up the pace. Was that during those years of that team? Because that team.
What year are you talking about?
Like basically after
whatever year the years was like Quentin Richardson and Nash and Stoudemire and Marion and Barbosa, Joe Johnson, all those
05, 06.
They played themselves out to me because I was like, man, this team is exciting. Because I mean, I liked all those players. I was like, but I think they played themselves out because they just couldn't keep up that pace for 48 minutes. You just can't. Like, and then when they added Shaq, I'm like, oh, it's over. You just can't do that.
Yeah.
Hey.
Steve Kerr, man, I hate Steve Kerr so much. He's one of the guys that, he literally took the Suns' general manager job, destroyed the roster, burned it to the ground, and then somehow left in the same conference to take the job at Golden State 4 or 5 years later. A little bit fucking suspicious. I mean, that's an inside job right there. He fucking burned Phoenix to nothing. Waited for Mark Jackson to get fired and then just slid in on Steph Curry, one of the greatest shooters of all time. So Steve Kerr is a fraud. I know everybody likes him in the media because he loves to go on these rants about gun violence. That's fine. We all hate gun violence, but come on, man. Fake Hall of Fame coach.
Totally different things.
Well, no, that's people love to just be like, oh, Steve Kerr, he's just so great. He's such a great coach.
It has nothing to do with sports. I don't.
Well, he brings it in. He brings it into it. He's just he's a really hated guy here in Phoenix. Always will be. So.
Yeah, but back to what you were saying about that era in basketball. You said that was in that weird era. So basically, if you weren't the Spurs or that whatever type of Miami team was getting put together with Shaq and Dwayne Wade or Dallas, you weren't winning anything. But it's just like, man, I mean, To me, Spurs could have ran. I'm sorry, the Suns. That Suns team could have ran Spurs off the court because Spurs can't keep up with those guys. I just think
it was the defense got them. Like they ran out of
that's
gas.
that's what I mean. Like
Owen
that's
and
what I mean.
Dunn.
That's exactly what I mean. The offense can't stay that consistent for 48 minutes. So therefore, what else do you do in a game? Are you guys locking down? What do you got when it's time to lock down? Because here comes the last 12 minutes. You guys might start the fourth quarter hot. You're not ending the fourth quarter like that.
So the last like 5 or 6 minutes, and then you just see like Stoudemire and Nash like super sweating, Duncan.
Stoudemire's in foul trouble.
Man,
he can't hit free throws. He can't hit a shot. Steve Nash is making good passes, or he's not, and the guys aren't hitting. You know what I mean? He's getting some good dimes in. They're not converting. So yeah, I mean, I remember watching that team. I was like, man, this is a team. Like, yeah, this right here, this is a team right here. I'm like, oh, well, okay. That's all like, all right, well, just give it to the Spurs. So yes, that was that era in basketball where that team, they just needed somebody else too. Yes, you gotta give it to the injuries, but I think also that team, if they would have had somebody else that was
they always had good guys around them. Towards the end of the thing, they had like they had Bobby Jackson, they had Bonzi, they had Artest at one point. Rafer Austin was over there.
Yeah,
Eddie House, Mutombo came over. A lot of solid players went through there. They had Ariza when he was really good.
Yeah, they did.
So, but it was just like you can't win these games when Yao's out and Chuck Hayes is trying to guard Bynum and Odom and the West Finals. Like it's just bad. So, yeah, I mean, talent wise they were great. They probably still did need another player, but I just loved watching them play. When they were healthy, they were always MVP candidates, like top 3. They would just destroy people, and then every time, just one of them's grabbing their knee or their back, and just wasn't good. Wasn't good.
My 2 what ifs are I'm going to start back right where you're sitting there in front of the cases in Indiana. What if Ron Artest, Jermaine O'Neal, and the rest of those guys never even flinched? That popcorn hits Artest, he just jumps off the table, and they just the whole season saved. Do they win the finals? I mean,
there's no doubt about it.
That's a big what if for me. They were better than the Pistons, who I think won that year, or at least were involved in the conversation. They had a number 1 or 2 seed. They had a great defense, a good coach. Rick Carlisle eventually goes on to win a ring. I don't know. Was he there? Was Carlisle in Indiana? Yeah, or was that still Larry Brown?
Larry Brown was the Pistons coach when they won.
That's right. Okay, so I think it was either a young Carlisle, right? And like when that happened, Malice at the Palace, or was it somebody else?
I don't honestly. The Pacers coaches washed through my mind. I remember Larry Bird and Rick Carlisle, and that's it. Like
I think it was Carlisle, but anyway, yeah, that's a big what if for me. And then the other one is, what if the Hornets hang on to Kobe Bryant and then a couple seasons later find a way to trade back into the draft to acquire Chris Paul? Then you have Peja Stojakovic, Chris Paul, Kobe Bryant, Tyson Chandler, fresh out of college, high energy defender. You're wondering, are the Hornets, looking at 3-4 rings, maybe more?
That's devastating for them. Yeah, just so many things. I mean, again, that Timberwolves graphic right there is just that one we saw the other day. I mean, you Kevin Garnett, first year traded championship. Kevin Love, first year traded championship. Andrew Wiggins, first year traded championship.
Oh man, people just say this.
Bad organizations will just. It all goes back to just ownership, just bad. The Timberwolves
ownership, but it's also about what players are doing out there on the courts together too. Though I mean, you can make up demographics like that. When I see that stuff, I'm like, I'm like, because they went on to win. They went to better teams. I mean, period. It's just those teams just weren't good. I'm like, I mean, Minnesota, the best team they had were the team that was actually winning in the playoffs, which was 20 years ago. I mean, when they had Sprewell and Marbury, and that was just. Damn, did I say Mark? Was that the right? Yeah, Marbury.
He was before that. The last one was Cassell, Sprewell, and
Well,
Garnett.
who was running with Sprewell when they were actually winning? Okay, Cassell, he was there. I mean, that Googs. I mean, that was the team that was actually good. Like Garnett was there. He won it out.
Shaq
They
and
were
Kobe.
decent. They were decent, but they didn't come to that point to where the other Minnesota team was winning like that. That team was actually good. They just didn't have enough. I mean, they were in the West with the Lakers and the Spurs, so they just weren't going to win.
The
but they were
biggest
good.
issue was that center matchup, which we can remind you
There
again.
you go.
Radislav Nesterovic versus Shaquille O'Neal. You know who's going to win
Mm.
that every freaking time.
Pretty
And
much.
Nobody was beating Shaquille O'Neal at that time. I mean, Radislav, you could go down the list, really. Just
Oh yeah,
Shaq was just too
that
good
video
at that time.
clip when they were like when Rudy Gobert
Oh
was
man,
like, "Yeah, I would
Sacramento
shut down
won.
Shaq." That's probably the funniest and worst self-player statement was Rudy Gobert saying he would shut down Shaq, and then Shaq posted the mixtape of him in the 90s, like destroying like Robinson, Ewing, Mutombo, Mourning, the best centers to ever play the game, just like throwing them on the floor, tomahawking on people. I'm like,
I mean, if Rudy Gobert is going by the players that he's played and in the era he's playing, oh yeah, I'm sure of it. I agree with him. I'm sure of it. The era he's playing in. That's it.
Well, he said he would shut down Shaq. I mean, just period. There was no context to the statement.
Oh, nothing else? Okay, that's cool too.
I don't know why he said that, but he said that. I mean,
that contract
I don't think
he
anybody
got, man,
took it
makes you
serious.
speak good words.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Shaq calls out the contracts all the time. He's like, if I was making this kind of money, yeah, no wonder these guys are talking. He's like, they make all this money and then don't even really like play 100% because the money.
I mean, that's the thing, because money. I mean, money in sports now is like nothing. It's like it's growing on trees. Endorsements are out of control. I mean, the league pay. I mean, the league endorsements, everything they get is just everything is it's uncanny now. So yeah, of course they're all getting paid. 6 men are getting paid more than starters were probably getting paid back then. I mean, so
more. I would say the inactive player, the 15th men on today's NBA teams are making close to what Bird and Magic were making.
Probably.
That's how bad inflation is. So you got guys, you got TJ Leaf and Puma button-down sweatpants making the same salary that Robert
TJ Leaf.
Oh man, come on!
He's one of those guys that I don't know if I've ever enjoyed somebody play the sport less than I have when TJ Leaf has been on the floor. And I don't want to do that to him, but that's when you say that name, that's just the thought that comes to my head. I've seen him in person. I've seen him on TV on a couple Pacers games. And it's just all around a bad experience, man. He was mediocre at UCLA and he's worse in the pros. And I'm like, I just don't.
So that player for me, the most painful player to me to ever watch was former Suns reserve center Jake Sakalidis.
Ooh.
It was painful to watch him
Sakalidis.
the ball, move. He would come into the game on those 7 seconds or less Suns, and the lead would just start evaporating.
Oh,
man,
so fast.
You see Amari and Tim Thomas just like go to the bench with towels on their heads to sit down for 5 minutes. Jake Sakalidis comes in. You just see Ben Wallace start doing spin moves. You're like, this dude can't even play offense, and he's dropped like 10 points on him this quarter. Just horrible.
Oh, yeah, that was one of the worst draft picks of all time. He was non-playable.
If you want to talk about that.
Toughest players to ever watch.
Charles Smith.
Oh, that's another one. I think he played on the Rockets and Knicks, too.
Knicks. Just killed my hopes every time he came in. Charles Smith. And see, I was such a hardcore Knicks fan for that team in that era of the 90s.
Didn't he wear number 54?
I believed in him. I wanted to believe in him. Like, because that's how, I mean, when you're a fan, well, you guys know, definitely you, Mason. When you're a hardcore fan, you believe in it. You believe in it all. You believe, like, okay, they can do this, man. I believe in them. You don't, there's no shiver, there's no shudder. You'd be like, all right, he's got it. He's about to do something with it. He's going to score, whatever. Man. Oh, man. Dude, oh, shit. Like it was so bad, I didn't even want him subbing in on on NBA Live. Like I was like,
He didn't want him subbing in on
I'm
video
like, man,
games.
damn, man. I'm like, dude, and you know, because they were super. NBA Live was super about simulation and fatigue and stuff. And I would try to play those guys until they just went to the last bar because I just didn't want him coming in the game. Because the only time they were going to do anything or score anything was like literally playing on the easiest level. That's the only time they go out there and look like stars. Because if it was like on medium level, it was over. Yeah, Charles Smith, man, destroyed it for me. And whoever, Herb Williams, anybody, he's old school, so I can't even really put that on him because he's been in the league forever. But he was Ewing's backup. Just anytime, basically, the backup team for the Knicks would come in because the Knicks weren't scorers anyway. They were down and dirty. They were grit. You know what I mean? The only people that I relied and knew would score points were Starks or Allen Houston or Ewing. And even though they weren't really, well, Ewing was, but Starks wasn't really guaranteed points, but I knew he was the scorer. He was the second option on the team. When you got to the newer team, Allen Houston was the second option. That's why they had Spreewell or whatever. But yeah, any type of second unit for the Knicks, I'm like, man, like I'm not talking about newer. I'm talking about 90s Knicks. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm like, just killed me. Just killed my hopes.
There's it's one of those bad feelings. Just like when your favorite team's a contender in the playoffs or like finals, and just anytime the bench just comes in, like it's just not fun. Like Carrington, like you just watched the finals. It's such an angst period because you just wonder, is the production even going to come? And sometimes when it doesn't, you're just so crushed because you're like,
the most painful thing to watch. And people can say, he came up in Pop's system. He knows defense. He's a nice long athlete, but the toughest thing for me to watch was Derek White coming into the game, Marcus Smart going out, and Steph Curry just doing what he wanted to do. And they would be like, "Oh, he's contesting nice shots," and to me, I would just see Derek White slipping all over the place, and Steph Curry just doing what he wanted to. And then at that point, I was just watching, and I'm like, because this finals, it was the weirdest time for me. I was not upset about the loss because watching it, I'm like, man, the Warriors really did not only get hot and healthy at the right time, but you truly got to see how good like Steph Curry was. Just took over the finals the last couple of games. And
because that Warriors team is not that good. I got to be honest. The roster is not.
You got to commend Wiggins. I mean, Draymond did not play well. Clay had a good game or two, but it was mainly Wiggins and Poole and Curry. Like they really. They figured something out. I think Steph Curry is just a great basketball player. He probably is a good leader and good teammate, and it really does off those guys. I mean, so you can't be mad. I mean, yeah, he's not. I liked him in college. Not necessarily a big fan now because of just everything that's gone on with that whole dynasty and watching them play. I was more of the guy who back in the day I really did enjoy the young Thunder like Harden and Westbrook and Durant. As they got older and split up,
they fucked that up.
Not really a fan of either of them. I'm the biggest fan of Westbrook out of all of them because I just do not like the attitudes that Durant and Harden developed and the way they continued to be. But that was a team I really wanted to see win that 2012 or whatever against Miami. If they stuck together, they probably could have won the next year.
No patience.
Probably would have snuck for the Warriors dynasty, but yeah, no patience. And then you see KD run off and join them, and then
God, that was terrible when KD joined the Warriors.
Yeah,
I don't even want to go back.
To me, let's not start on that because to me that's just the worst move in any type of sports history ever.
It's so bad.
I'm sorry. I don't care. I tell him to his face, I'm like, dude, you didn't even try to stay and get redemption. I'm sorry. Yeah. You didn't even try to stay and get, because I mean, more than likely in the West, it would have been them again, like you just said.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. I am out. See you guys later. And I'm like,
what?
all right. To me, that just bothers me so bad.
That was the day that basketball was ruined. Really, like
it was.
Now we're getting away from that. You don't see so much of that now. Everybody did split up the last 2 years. There was a lot of big threes. Now there's not anymore. And I'm more of a fan of this. There's way more balance now. There's way more balance in the league. But But yeah, that to me was the worst move.
That
In all.
season was so boring too. Like, remember, like after he announced that, like nobody was looking forward to basketball because it was basically just the Western All-Star team on the Warriors.
And then like
I
5
like it just
years
wasn't.
later, DeMarcus Cousins signed and like blew his leg out. But otherwise, they would have been. I mean, that would have been disgusting. They would have won like 4 straight championships. But luckily, just Durant gets in his own way. Tried to do the same thing, going to Brooklyn, build his own fake super team. Didn't work. All the teams gone, and now they're both not going to be there next year.
I mean, I would say, definitely a super team by star power, but mega star power at that. Not even star power. Mega star power is just.
Yeah,
I just don't know. Boys just aren't playing. I mean, either they're really hurt or they're just not playing because
The Nets,
that
yeah.
literally is super team. Literally,
they had one of the best.
That's mega star.
Yeah, I think there was like 1 through 8 were all stars.
Yeah, I love the fact that they didn't win a ring.
And Aldridge and Millsap and it was the best thing ever when I think the Celtics swept them even.
They did.
Yeah, it was like the best. That was one of the greatest series of my life because those two, KD and Kyrie are my least 2 favorite NBA players to ever put shoes on. I do not like those 2 guys. Just don't. Never root for them ever again.
Kyrie?
Yep.
I love Kyrie's game.
Guys that are not about basketball. They're all about their emotions, and they're not about basketball. They're not true competitors. They coasted by on their athletic ability, and now that their character is shown, it's like, can you really lead a team? Now you can't even team up and win a game against a team that wasn't supposed to be in the finals. Celtics were the 11th seed in the East at the All-Star break and made the finals.
I mean, honestly, there's all that talk about Kyrie and LeBron like splitting up because he didn't want to play with LeBron, but
he'll be back. I bet Magic Johnson will find a way to get back in the office, and Kyrie will end up back over there. And they'll talk.
The only time he was consistent was in Cleveland, and when he was around LeBron. LeBron, he's not. He may not be everybody's favorite, but I'm like,
he does make players
set the example.
Yeah, because he's so talented that players have to play their best to look okay next to him. So that's why you saw guys like Damon Jones and Sasha Pavlovich like scoring double digits in finals games when they shouldn't have been on the court.
Eric Snow.
Yep. Jeff McGinnis.
God, those finals sucked, man. Spurs, Cavs, just Jeff McGinnis and Eric Snow getting swept.
I just remember Wally Szczerbiak with the knee brace getting subbed in to get torched by Ginobili in his prime, and I was like, "This is not cool, man." Like
Wally, man.
And yeah, old Wally tried to slap on a brace and sign up with LeBron. Ben Wallace, Larry Hughes came over. Danielle Marshall came down from Toronto. They tried to do it big and fizzled. That's the team that got swept by the Spurs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was ugly. For sure.
Yeah. And then this past year, I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I'm excited for this upcoming season. Because I think it's a pretty open season. You're gonna see Mavs get better, Nuggets will be better.
Hopefully. A lot of shakeups coming too. Yeah. I mean, obviously the Dallas Mavericks want to get better in the front court. They're gonna try to make their swing at Gobert, and then you have the Suns pretty much all but have decided to move DeAndre Ayton. It seems like. So what can they get back for him? And who's the successor to Chris Paul? Because you probably don't want him playing more than 25 minutes a night next year.
He'll be 37 next season?
He's 37 right now, I believe. So in the playoffs next year, he would turn 38 about 2 weeks into the playoffs. Again, I think you got to make a move for a point guard. That's just the age where you just can't be relied on.
Did Phoenix draft anybody tonight, or they move any trades?
No draft picks. They don't have draft picks, so they might get back into day 2 or 3. But I think that the biggest thing is going to be like trades and the off season and signings for them, because it seems like James Jones values that more than the draft for sure.
Yeah, I think they're good enough, and it's a decent enough city and market size now to where they can recruit some decent free agents. And they'll probably have to make a deadline trade to get back. Because I think for sure, Celtics need another piece, I would imagine. They kind of did fold on themselves, but I think so. No, Mavericks did. They traded for Christian Wood from Houston, who to me is streaky, and I think it's an overhyped move.
I don't like that pick for them. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's their pairing, and they were hyping that up, and then of course the OKC tonight with that Chet Holmgren, Josh Giddey graphic. That was funny to me. Like you just can't say it's a new big three when a dude weighs.
Man, please don't. Man, that
But again, that's the ESPN world we live in. It's probably a 15-year-old that tweeted that. He's followed Josh Giddey since AAU days, so it is what it is. But I do like what OKC's doing. They got young talent. They got boatloads of draft picks. They're going to be great. They're going to win a title in the next 8 to 10 years, probably.
I don't know. I was listening on the way to work this morning. I was listening to Fox Sports 910 with Jody Ayler, local sports talk guy here video. And he was saying that he's not as big, and I kind of like thinking about this. I'm like, oh, maybe he's right. He's not as big on Sam Presti's strategy of basically trading away most of their good to great assets the last few years and just stockpiling on draft picks. Because he's like, it's almost like you're just buying scratchers in bulk when you look at like the NBA draft and like what it is and like who's actually good out of it with the picks that have your name on it. And you're basically just running through scratchers and just in hopes to find that golden scratcher. And it's like, it could work if you land on Steph Curry, Kobe, Jordan, LeBron, somebody like that. But like, how often does that happen that you get a face of a franchise? So, I mean, they may not, I don't know.
I think they did. I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. I've been wrong about random draft picks before that were very good in college, and then vice versa, guys that were good that I thought were going to continue to be good that aren't. But to me, Chet Holmgren is not going to translate well to the NBA. He's way too small. I mean, you're talking about a guy that needs to put on 40 to 60 pounds to, even though he's 7 feet tall, 7'2", you got to at least be running around at 225, 230. I think he weighs under 200 pounds right now. So
yeah.
This is the NBA, even though like you're talking about guarding Pascal Siakam and Jokic and guys that are just going to throw him around, Rob Williams, Draymond Green, like it's not going to be fun for him the first couple of years. He's got to eat some.
Wait till Embiid backs him down. I mean, man, Chet Holmgren just looks hungry out there. I mean, honestly, so
Chet Holmgren,
number 2 pick in the draft. Yeah, no, I can say I do like the Lou Dort and the Shai Gilgeous picks. Actually, I think they traded for Shai Gilgeous from the Clippers, right, in that Chris Paul deal originally, or how did that happen? I don't
think
remember.
so.
Anyways, those two, those are your building blocks. If you can hold it, I think both of them are all-star caliber players. Dort maybe low level, 1 or 2 time, whereas Shai Gilgeous can be 4 or 5. But it's a good. Those two players are good. They just need to figure it out around them. And yeah, they got the lottery scratchers to do it. It just, are you going to pick Holmgren or not? And then this bounces way back to kind of the what ifs, but now that we're talking about trading Ayton, now you got to wonder what happens if the Suns just drafted Luka instead. Like, man, then you never have to worry about Chris Paul. Like, it's just, you got Luka and now all you got to do is convince Karl Anthony Towns to come down from Minnesota, who's not going to win anything, and that team wins a championship. Like,
just that guy, man.
Yeah, no, it's definitely the question is now out there because the number 1 draft pick 4 years ago could no longer be in Phoenix. But I mean, realistically, as much as I like going into this offseason, I wanted to keep Ayton, and I would have liked to at least be strong contenders to keep him. It's just the reality is the Suns offered $200 million. He wants upwards of that. And James Jones, you can't blame him for looking around and say, do I need to tie up $230 million or more in a center in today's NBA? And if you just look at the last 6 to 8 champions, the answer is a resounding no. You don't need that. So it's a luxury, I think, to have DeAndre Ayton, but it's not a need. And when you put the dollars on paper, I think James Jones is going to go in the opposite direction.
Yeah, we know that he'll wherever he gets traded, they'll extend him. They'll give him that big deal, whether it's the Pistons, the Hornets, the Knicks, whoever it might be. Those type of teams are hungry for that. Just somebody young that they can throw money at. And again, the Pistons Pistons have some pieces, Killian Hayes and Cade Cunningham, or what's his name? Cade. Is it
Cade Cunningham? Yep.
Yeah,
I've never even seen him play. I just remember he got drafted overall 1 last year, sprained his ankle, and I just read his name on SportsCenter. I have never even seen a
he's
highlight.
pretty nice. He's I mean, it's going to take a lot to get to that level, but he's could potentially get to like around a low level Grant Hill, kind of like Jerry Stackhouse level. He plays a lot like that. Strong, 6'7", 6'8", defensive. I mean, and a guy that's going to score. So, yeah, those teams are ready to throw money. I heard nothing but Knicks type of things from what you would expect from the Knicks. Actually, they traded Kemba Walker, by the way. Again, I don't know where he
I
went.
saw that to
Oh,
Detroit.
really?
Are they a playoff team? Kemba Walker, Cade Cunningham, Killian Hayes. I don't think they're a playoff team. They're probably like a fringe 10-9 seed, but
They might miss the play-in by a game or so. Yeah, no, I'm excited. Most of the young players are pretty entertaining in today's game. A lot of high skill level. Obviously, not a whole lot of defense anymore, but the guys that do play good defense are fun. I mean, Rob Williams is probably my favorite center that I've got to watch since Yao or Mutombo as far as just shot blocking. Ben Wallace. I mean, this is a guy that goes out, gets 3 to 5 blocks like in any premier game when he plays 20 minutes. So it's fun. It's good to see. But you can't have a lot of those guys. Like you said, you can't throw big money at centers today.
Man.
it's like paying a running back 5 years, 130 million today. You just wouldn't do it.
In today's world, like a 2-year contract is what you get from us. Because like even a receiver, I mean, like what happened? Receivers typically last longer, but running backs, 1 season can make all the difference. I mean, Todd Gurley.
Yeah, Todd Gurley.
And just you saw it happen, disappeared, just a short season or 2. And I only had 1 beer tonight on Brew and Basketball Night, but I had a lot of great topics, more to come. And I'm just looking at, man, this list. There's some good stuff on this list. So we definitely got some things to go through over time. And then of course, everything else just playing out as it goes. We got the collecting frontier. A lot of good stuff coming. The signature special Joe Kenda ID episode is going to be fire. It's going to be guaranteed fire.
Yep. Yeah, sounds good. I gotta log off 9:37. I'm gonna crash for work tomorrow. Be up and at it. So I'll hit you guys.
Yep. Solid.
Yep.
Solid. I might. I'm not cracking another one. I'm good.
Damn, look at that hat. All right, Andre Kirilenko, have a good night.
AK-47. Okay. All right.
That's the retro. That's the retro hat, man. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we call me Andre.